Welcome back to the Grace Smith Podcast. I'm your host, Grace Smith, and I'm so happy you're here. This podcast is your guide to unlocking the power of your subconscious mind to create positive change. Today, we're diving into part 2. We'll continue to follow along with the proven protocol from my best-selling book, Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight. In the first episode, we explored why weight loss can be difficult, what subconscious blocks hold us back, and how hypnotherapy can help. Today, we're shifting our focus to the foundations of weight loss, building the right habits and mindset to ensure lasting success. In this episode, we'll focus on creating simple yet powerful habits that you can build for the long term in order to experience those incredible results. Let's dive in. We're going to take a look at week 1 of my 12-week protocol. Now, this first habit sounds so simple, but it's actually incredibly important for long-term weight loss. Chewing your food thoroughly. It might seem like a no-brainer, but many of us eat too quickly. We're distracted. We're looking at our phones. We're on the go, or just in a rush to get to the next thing. But when we rush through meals, we aren't giving our bodies the chance to properly digest the food we're eating. When you chew your food properly, you help break it down into smaller pieces, making it easier for your body to digest. Chewing also stimulates the production of digestive enzymes, helping your stomach absorb nutrients more efficiently. But there's another important benefit. Chewing slowly gives your brain time to register when you're full. So here's a key point to remember. Your brain takes about 20 minutes to realize you've had enough food. When you eat too quickly, you may be filling yourself up past the point of fullness before your brain even gets the signal that you're satisfied. So slowing down and chewing each bite thoroughly helps you tune into your body's true hunger and fullness signals. So go ahead and do this today. At your next meal, chew each bite 20 to 30 times before swallowing. Notice how much more aware you become of how your body is feeling. If you're distracted, put that phone down, slow down, and really focus on the texture and the flavor of the food. Secondary benefit to this is just increasing your ability to be mindful and present. So really focus on each bite. Now, that's easy to say, and you've probably heard that before. The reason why this program is different is because I don't just expect you to take that information and have it change your life forever. If that's all it took, everyone would chew their food. We all know that that's the right thing to do. This program is going to program your subconscious mind so that chewing every bite thoroughly until only liquid remains becomes your new normal, because you're going to create a new habit at the subconscious level. So we're talking about it now, but I want you to understand the differences. You have to go one step beyond and actually program it into your subconscious. And I'll tell you how to do that a little bit later on in the episode. Now let's talk about hydration. Drinking enough water is essential for weight loss and overall health. Water supports your metabolism, helps your body eliminate waste, and keeps your energy levels up. It can also help curb hunger. Sometimes our bodies confuse thirst with hunger, and we end up eating when we're actually just dehydrated. So when you feel the urge to snack, just drink a glass of water first. You might find you're not as hungry as you thought. Hydration also supports fat loss because water helps your body metabolize fat more efficiently. It's like giving your metabolism a boost. So simple, yet so effective. So before every meal, drink a glass of water. This simple habit will help you stay hydrated, prevent overeating, and promote better digestion. You can also keep a water bottle with you throughout the day and aim to drink at least 8 cups of water daily. If you're feeling sluggish or craving something to eat, first check if you've had enough water. And again, this is not just about having this conscious knowledge. You're going to train your subconscious to drink a glass of water at the start of every meal. And that will be a part of the recordings that I will assign to you for your homework assignment in just a little bit. And now let's move on to our third foundational habit, stopping when satisfied. This one can be tough for a lot of people, especially if we've been conditioned to finish our plates or eat large portions. But eating until we're overly full is one of the quickest ways to sabotage any weight loss success. The key is to stop when you're satisfied, not when you're stuffed. Learning to listen to your body's hunger and fullness cues is essential for long-term success. When you start eating, check in with yourself. How hungry are you on a scale of 1 to 10? As you eat, check in again. When you reach about 80% full, that's your cue to stop. This takes some practice, but it's such a powerful habit to cultivate. At your next meal, take a pause halfway through, check in with how you're feeling, and assess if you're still truly hungry. If not, stop eating. This simple act of pausing allows you to tune into your body and create a healthy relationship with food that's based on mindfulness and not mindless eating. Now, if you've tried to implement these habits before and found them difficult to stick with, don't worry, you're not alone. And the good news is we have a hypnosis recording available on the Grace Hypnotherapy app. It's completely free. It's in the Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight section of the app, which is always unlocked, always free, because it's the companion section of the app that goes with this book. So this session is designed to help support the adoption of these specific habits at the subconscious level, making it easier to integrate them into your daily life and make lasting changes. So that is your homework assignment: to go into the Grace Hypnotherapy app, download it for free, scroll down in our content library. You just hit the little headphones at the bottom, find the Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight section. You've already been listening to the prep week. That was your first homework assignment. And now you're going to listen to week 1, the fundamentals: chew, hydrate, stop, and just enjoy having these things that you've heard about before actually become part of your new normal. And one more thing I want to add about the whole eating everything on your plate and the big portions, because I have a lot of friends who were raised to eat everything on their plate, which sounds really great and culturally can have a lot of historical context, especially if they've come from, grandparents who went through something very, very difficult where there wasn't enough food and things like that. And we want to be sensitive to that. But you can always start with less food on the plate to start with, so that there's less that you have to finish. And then you only go get more if you're not 80% full. Or if you become satisfied and you're 80% full, put the rest of the food away as leftovers and eat the rest of it tomorrow. So I'm not saying you have to throw away food, but the whole finish everything on your plate is not serving someone who needs to focus on weight loss. We got to rewire that. And I go into that more in the recording. 2, when I married my Brazilian husband from Rio de Janeiro, I learned about larger portion sizes. And I also learned if you don't go back for seconds or thirds of grandma's rice and beans, you can really hurt somebody's feelings. What an unhelpful way to be programmed to associate with food, right? But you also want to be culturally sensitive. So coming from my Irish roots, I didn't have plenty of other things to deal with. That wasn't one of them. But I had to learn how to be able to be very respectful, show my love of the food, which is, the equivalent of love in this particular household, but also be able to stand my ground and not eat beyond what I'm actually comfortable with, right? So we have other, for all the Greek families and the Italian families and people who experience this on the regular, there are additional resources to help you face those situations with grace and still be able to have a healthy relationship with food. So very excited for you to listen to those. Week 2, we're going to move into week 2 of the 12-week program. Now that we've covered the foundational habits of weight loss in week 1, it's time to dig a little deeper. As you start implementing these healthy habits, you might find that there are some inner barriers holding you back. These are often limiting beliefs, those subconscious stories you've been telling yourself about your ability to lose weight or achieve the results you want. These beliefs might be preventing you from seeing real progress and feeling confident in your journey. So in week 2 of my protocol, we focus on identifying and overcoming those limiting beliefs to clear the path for lasting transformation. These beliefs often develop over time based on our past experiences, societal messages, or even what we were told by others. For example, you might have beliefs like, I'll never be able to lose this weight, or I have a slow metabolism, so it's just harder for me. Maybe you've tried and failed before, and now you believe that weight loss just isn't possible for you. These beliefs, happily, are not facts. They oftentimes are just stories your mind has created. Now, I'm not undermining the potential presence of an actual medical condition or the fact that certain medications might be truly making it very difficult to release the weight. I have been there. It took me 3.5 years to figure out that I had celiac disease, and my body was so out of whack and was holding on to additional pounds, but I was still malnourished and I was exhausted and bloated every single day. So I'm not saying it's all in your head at all. I'm just saying if we choose to believe the limiting thoughts for the long term, it truly limits our likelihood of success. So even if there is an underlying medical condition, even if we're in the throes of trying to figure out what's wrong with us, as I was for years, how frustrating and painful that is. Even if there's a medication that we know retains water or slows the metabolism, there are still the most adaptive, healthy thoughts that we can make sure are programmed into our subconscious mind that will allow us to have the greatest amount of success long term. Even if it means that right now we're in a place that's really challenging, having the right thoughts in place to help us get out of that sooner rather than later are truly crucial. So the limiting beliefs, they can make us feel stuck or even unworthy of success. And if we don't challenge these beliefs, they can sabotage our progress before we even get started. So the good news is these stories can be rewritten. Hypnosis can help us access the subconscious to rewrite these stories very quickly and efficiently. When we consciously challenge and replace negative beliefs with positive, empowering ones, we begin to shift how we perceive ourselves. This process doesn't happen through willpower alone. It occurs at the subconscious level where lasting change can take root. Moving on now to week 3 of our 12-week protocol. Once you address the limiting beliefs that may have been holding you back, it's time to focus on listening to your body. In week 3 of my protocol, we explore intuitive eating, a practice that helps you reconnect with your body's natural hunger and fullness cues. So often we turn to external rules, diets, and restrictions when it comes to food. But true freedom with food comes from trusting your body and listening to what it really needs. Nearly all of our hypnotherapy clients report that dieting can lead to feelings of restriction, frustration, and guilt. Often when we follow strict diets, we find ourselves obsessing over food or overeating once we quote unquote break the rules. Diet mentality creates a cycle of deprivation and excess, which can make it feel impossible to create lasting, sustainable change. But what if we let go of that mentality and embraced a more balanced approach to food? By letting go of dieting, you stop seeing some foods as good or bad and instead start seeing it as nourishment for your body. Intuitive eating allows you to enjoy all foods in moderation without guilt or fear. It's not about labeling foods as off limits or cheat foods. It's about making choices that feel right for your body and your lifestyle. When you shift from dieting to intuitive eating, you're giving yourself permission to truly enjoy food again without shame or regret. A core component of intuitive eating is mindful eating, the practice of being fully present during meals. It's easy to eat mindlessly, especially in our busy lives. We might find ourselves eating while distracted, watching TV, scrolling through our phones, or working at our desk. This can lead to overeating because we're not paying attention to how much or what we're actually eating. Mindful eating helps you tune into the experience of eating, allowing you to savor each bite and be more in touch with your body's hunger and fullness signals. It helps you slow down. It helps you enjoy your food and recognize when you're actually satisfied. When you eat mindfully, you're able to make conscious decisions about how much food you need in order to feel nourished and energized rather than eating on autopilot. And don't worry, again, if you've struggled with this in the past, we've also got you covered with a hypnosis recording to help you implement this at the subconscious level, and you can find that in the app. So again, food can be extremely polarizing. It can be extremely political now. We want to make sure that you're developing your intuition by noticing which foods you eat that make you feel great, which foods you eat that make you feel like garbage. And some of that has to do with food sensitivities or allergies as well. So getting a very basic blood test to see what food sensitivities you have can really help you hone in on your intuitive eating as well, because something might be labeled as extremely healthy, but if you're having an inflammatory or a histamine response to that food because you're allergic to it, even at a very base level where it's really just a sensitivity, you're going to feel more lethargic and tired and bloated, even if it's quote unquote healthy. And then of course, even though we don't need to be restrictive and we don't need to create disordered eating by labeling whole sections of food as evil or bad, we also want to be able to train our bodies to have less and less processed, chemically laden food over time. And intuitive eating allows us to do that, not because it's labeled as bad, but because you've actually tuned into your body enough to know how it made you feel. And it's impossible that something made in a lab filled with chemicals can leave us feeling good long term. So this is going to improve the quality of the food you consume, but it will be specific to your biology and specific to the foods that actually nourish you. So I highly, highly recommend getting a blood test workup as well to just inform the development of your intuitive eating. And now that brings us to week 4. Now that we've spent time focusing on intuitive eating and reconnecting with our body's natural cues, we're going to shift gears a bit into week 4. In this section of our episode, we'll tackle a critical aspect of long-term weight loss: exercise. For many, exercise can feel like a struggle or even a chore. But what if we could reframe it? What if we could train our brains to crave exercise and make it a rewarding part of our lives? That's exactly what we explore in week 4. Exercise is one of those areas where many of us face resistance, whether it's the fear of not being quote unquote good enough, past experiences with unsuccessful fitness routines, or simply the association of exercise with discomfort. There are many reasons why exercise feels like a struggle for many, but the key here is to reframe exercise. Instead of seeing it as a punishment for having eaten too much or a task you have to check off, you can start thinking of it as a reward for your body. When you exercise, you're giving your body the gift of energy, strength, and vitality. It's an opportunity to feel stronger, healthier, and more empowered. It's important to understand that exercise doesn't have to be intense or take up hours of your day. Even small, consistent movements add up. So instead of thinking of exercise as something you have to do, thinking of it as something you want to do, a way to celebrate your body and all it can do. One powerful tool to help shift your mindset about exercise is visualization at the theta brainwave level. Visualization can help train your brain to associate exercise with positive emotions. In hypnotherapy, we use visualization techniques to create vivid, enjoyable scenarios where you're moving your body in ways that feel energizing and joyful. Imagine yourself moving in ways that feel effortless, perhaps walking outside, dancing, or practicing yoga. As you vividly picture yourself enjoying these activities, you start to reprogram your brain to crave the positive feelings that exercise brings. A great way to get started is to start small. This might mean setting a goal to walk for just 10 minutes a day or stretching for 5 minutes in the morning. The goal is to make movement a daily habit, no matter how small. As you start to build momentum, you'll find that you naturally want to increase your activity. Over time, it will become second nature for you to move your body every day. Remember, it's about creating consistency, not perfection. The more you engage in physical activity, the more your brain will associate it with positive feelings. And that's how you create a lasting, enjoyable exercise routine. Now, the reason I say starting off with just 10 minutes of walking a day or 5 minutes of stretching per day is because there has been some sneaky subconscious self-sabotage I've noticed over the years, where folks who have a significant amount of weight that they would like to lose in order to be at what they deem their healthiest will say, okay, that's it. I'm running a 5K. And they haven't done any exercise in a very, very long time. They go out, overdo it, get injured, and are now under doctor's orders to not do any exercise for months. So the subconscious that was afraid of success, that was afraid of changing, that might be afraid to be seen, all these things that we cover later on in the protocol, they were successful right out the gate. Now, if you already have an exercise routine and 10 minutes of walking or 5 minutes of stretching is way too little for you, that's perfectly fine as well. We just want to make sure that what we are programming into your subconscious mind is sustainable for the long term, and we are not giving any sneaky subconscious self-sabotage the opportunity to take you out with an injury, right? But we got to build up to it over time. And ultimately, you'll see when you do get to listening to this recording in the Grace Hypnotherapy app for week 4, that we eventually want to train you to exercise until you've released endorphins. That's typically at least 20 minutes of high intensity workout, whether it's jogging or a HIIT workout, something that makes you sweat. That's when those feel good endorphins get released. And when those feel good endorphins get released, that's when we start to crave exercise and become a little bit addicted to it in a good and healthy way. So we're not going to leave it at 5 minutes of stretching, but we got to start where we need to start in order for you to be able to do this for the long term. Now, this mini series is just 4 weeks long, but the protocol for Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight is 12 weeks long. Your homework assignment for this week is to just master the chew, hydration, and stop when satisfied by listening to the week 1 recording on the app. When you're ready, when the time is right, when you've mastered those habits after listening to that recording for at least a week, maybe a little bit longer, everybody's different with how much conditioning they need, you can move on to recording number 2 in the Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight section of our Grace Hypnotherapy app. So that is week 2, limiting beliefs that have to go. So that would be your next homework assignment, but please don't jump the gun. No reason to move on to week 2 until you've subconsciously mastered the chew, hydrate, stop. And you'll know you've done that when those habits are happening automatically. And that will be such a happy realization for you that these things have just become a part of your everyday behaviors. And with that, we've covered a third of the proven and powerful protocol from my book, Close Your Eyes, Lose Weight. So thank you so much for joining me in this episode. If you found this helpful, please share it with a friend, loved one, or colleague who might also benefit. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment or review, and tune in next time when we'll talk about breaking free from emotional eating patterns. Until then, take care and have a wonderful day.